What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Halving Report podcast. This is episode 63 with your host, Brad Mines. The price of Bitcoin as well as other markets have fallen drastically lately as we sit about 28.5 thousand US dollars at the time of this recording. Many blame the rising interest rates and macro geopolitical events for the recent downturn. There are about 2 years left until the next Bitcoin halving, as the third halving occurred in May of 2020. Today we have Eric Podwojski of Bitcoin Magazine on the show, who is heavily dedicated to onboarding people into Bitcoin, providing education, and doing everything possible to fuel Hyperbitcoinization. So let's get right to it.
Thank you for coming on to the Halving Report podcast. Eric, how's it going, man?
Hey, Brad, thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime. Let's just jump right into it. You build in the community. You have the Bitcoin conference and BTC Inc., your Bitcoin Magazine, and your Twitter profile. You can just tell us a little bit exactly what you do and how you participate in the Bitcoin space.
Sure, yeah. I've been working for Bitcoin Magazine, as you can see my shirt here, for the past maybe like 7 months or so. And then prior to that, I was doing a little education company called Bitcoin EDU. And then prior to that, I was doing a civil engineering job, not related to it at all. So my current role in Bitcoin Magazine is as an account manager. And funny enough, the first day on the job, I got hired to do account management on the Bitcoin conference side. First day on the job, I get switched over to Bitcoin Magazine. They're like, yeah, you're gonna be on this team now with a different manager. And yeah, so I've been going from there, learning as much as I can about media because I didn't have that kind of background, learning about advertising, sales, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a huge learning curve, and the company's growing like crazy. So there's always so much to do every day. Wear a ton of different hats, but yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Awesome, man. Now you look like a pretty young guy, but I wonder if we can dive, like, what was your background like before coming into the Bitcoin space a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. So I graduated from Penn State in 2018. I studied energy engineering and had a minor in environmental engineering. So I thought I was going to go down that route. I worked as a design engineer for a company called Elon Engineering for about 2.5, 3 years or so. And then, yeah, just decided kind of wasn't for me. Like the corporate life, man, it's really wasn't for me. They made this rule in our office that was like, you couldn't get up out of your seat to go talk to another employee about something not work related for more than like 5-10 minutes, or like, yeah, you can't charge company time for that. And I was like, that was just a big red flag for me. And I was like, I need to get out of here because this seems like hell.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and I just made the big leap, and now I'm at a completely different industry.
It's the best industry, right?
I love it so far. Yeah.
No, I definitely resonate with you about the corporate life. And there's just, when I was in the corporate world too, it was just like so many functions and networking, and it was almost like overkill. Like, I love doing that in the Bitcoin space, but when you're just for a company's products or whatever you're doing, there's not as much motivation, I found. You're a runner. You like to run. How long have you been doing that for?
I mean, we can go down. This is the larger story, but to make it quick, I always hated running my whole life. I was more into just lifting. I'd always go to the gym, and starting in high school and college, post-college, go to the gym, lift some weights around, do some squats or whatever, and that'd be it. I hated cardio. If anything, I would do like 10 minutes. That's about it, just get warmed up. And then I decided, I guess we can get into it, but after I had a surgery, right, and I was recovering from it, I couldn't really lift any weights. So I was like, maybe I should pick up running. And so I just set a goal to do a marathon. And within a year of that, I just went from not being able to walk to walking to slowing up, running like a mile at a time, bump it up to 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles. So, and then since then, honestly, I haven't been running as much because I feel like I reached the peak, and then I didn't have a plan after that. So it kind of just like fizzled out. But yeah, as summer's coming around now, I'm getting more into it again.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Let's jump into Bitcoin. what's happening in the world of Bitcoin right now? You know, has Bitcoin underperformed? We're kind of witnessing a huge lull right now and downturn in not just Bitcoin, but lots of markets. You know, what do you think the catalyst is for the recent drawbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a bear market. So I got in like 2017 while I was still at Penn State in college. I was going to like the Bitcoin club. They had a blockchain club. I had no idea what this stuff was. And at that time, I was trading crypto with basically my beer money. So just a couple $100. And of course, I lost that all as it rose all the way to the top and then crashed down. But that was really good for me because I learned what a bear market was and how to ride that out. So now that we went up through again to the big rise up recently, now it's crashed, I feel 10 times better how I felt in the last couple of years through a bear market. I was like, oh, I understand this now. And it's weird because once you get there, you kind of flip a switch in your head where you embrace the bear market because you know this is the time to accumulate as much as possible. And so I turn bullish in a way during a bear market. But yeah, so what's happening? I think fundamentally, so Bitcoin goes through a halving every 4 years, right? And we're 2 years, I think as of today, actually, just right around this time, May 2020 was the last one. So yeah, we're 2 years into the halving. What that means is that every 4 years about, the reward for Bitcoin that miners get, right, that's cut in half. So if you think about supply and demand, they're cutting the supply in half that's getting issued. And it takes a couple of years for that to play out. But as the supply goes down and demand goes up, price shoots up, and then it kind of fizzles back out as the market gets a little overheated. So I think that's exactly what happened. And then on top of that, there's some other macro things going on in the world. So there's a big, I guess, conglomeration of events happening along with the halving that's leading to a bear market. But man, I couldn't be happier than ever right now because I am stacking every single day.
That's the way to do it, man. That's how legends are built, right?
Yeah. Stacked, shut up, sit down, and look up in 10 years.
Exactly. So, I mean, with the downfall in price, though, there's a lot of headlines out there, sometimes misleading headlines in the mainstream media about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You know, what do you think the biggest misconception about Bitcoin is?
I think a lot of people want to get rich quick. And so they're not able to endure a bear market. So switching your brain from this is an asset that I want to hold for the rest of my life compared to this is something I want to trade US dollars for and then eventually go back into US dollars. So what I want to do is trade into it and not go back into US dollars because Bitcoin's actually the better money.
Absolutely. And what do you think the next catalyst for Bitcoin? Is it the nation state adoption? We just seen, was it the Central African Republic as the second country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as official currency after El Salvador? Is that the next catalyst, or what do you think it is?
Man, it's so hard to say right now because markets go crazy by how one man in the Fed says we're going to either raise rates or not. So the current system we're in is kind of dictating the way it's trading. But in a longer scale, I think, yeah, the nation state adoption is something to really pay attention to because it starts with one. Now we have two, and we have places like Lugano as well, and like Switzerland. So you're getting a couple more places pop up, and then eventually more and more and more catch on. And that's when you see it really ramp up. And then eventually they'll get to the bigger nation states, and that's when we'll get interesting.
Absolutely. Actually, here in Canada, we had the conservative leadership debate on last night, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was a topic because of Pierre Poilievre, one of the potential leaders. I don't know if you've seen him around on the Twitterverse with Tahini's and that Canadian company who put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that was kind of interesting to see Bitcoin on the national stage here in Canada, which I don't think we've seen yet. So that was really interesting. Um,
Well, yeah, I mean, what about the trucker movement that happened?
yes.
I think that was a very, very large historical event that happened that's kind of getting swept under the rug right now.
Hmm.
So as a Canadian, I'm actually curious, like, what did you think about it?
Uh, well, I mean, I voluntarily got vaccinated. I wasn't pro being too crazy one way or another. I wasn't anti-mask or vax. I wasn't, anti-COVID shutdowns. I kind of fell right in the middle, and they were actually blocking supply chains. So they deemed it as a threat to national security. So they took these extra measures. And then I found that people that agreed with what the convoy was standing for and fighting for was, those people, they supported it. And I mean, in regards to Bitcoin anyways, they used Bitcoin to circumvent some of the funds and the GoFundMe. They shut down the GoFundMe because it was funding what they called illegal blockades. But it did resonate with the Bitcoin community heavily because it was an opportunity to fund a movement that a government was stopping. And I agree with that part. With that aspect, that's awesome. That's what Bitcoin is here to do. If you want to fund something, you should be able to do it. I believe in that financial freedom. In terms of the general convoy, I didn't participate. I didn't necessarily support it. And I know that's an unpopular opinion probably within the Bitcoin community, because I find a lot of people do and a lot of other Bitcoiners in Ontario do. But that's generally my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good answer. So for me, the way I looked at it as an American, Bitcoin's kind of freedom money. And I embrace the idea that you should be free to protest in any way and shape or form you can. And if a government, especially in a quote unquote developed nation, right, is going to go and shut down bank accounts of those protesting, that's a big red flag for me. So using Bitcoin as a tool to enhance freedom, that's what I'm most passionate about. And I'm glad that at least there was an outlet for this. And it really put Bitcoin on the center stage too, because it was all over the news.
Yeah. And at the same, just to add, I mean, at the same time, I did find there was a lot of misconceptions about what's going on. Like I saw some people say on Twitter, like, "Oh, Bitcoin's been outlawed in Canada," like, which is nowhere near the truth. We can go on BitBuy or all these other exchanges and legally buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Like, so I think there was a lot of misconceptions out there, which kind of altered my thinking a little bit too. But yeah, in general, I'm here for the freedom of money. And I know you've tweeted about, the separation of money and state. What does that mean for mankind, and, what kind of impact do you think that will have within?
I'm pulling this off my wrist right now. It's a little band I got from my friend Mark Mariah during the Bitcoin conference. It just says separate money and state.
Oh, look at that.
The Bitcoins, yeah.
I guess
I've been wearing it
right
since.
Question. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So it means a lot to me, because I think separating church and state was so crucial to advancing our civilization and liberating ideas. And I think the next step is separating money from state, because you can see all the inefficiencies that are happening right now when humans are to be trusted. We just can't be trusted. It works for a short amount of time, but then eventually it becomes corrupted, and then the system gets broken, and then those at the bottom of the totem pole get hurt the most. So my idea is not my idea, but why I embrace it is because let's use technology to take power away from humans so they don't get greedy and corrupted and mess with the money. That's basically what's happening right now with our current money system, right? There's a couple of people in control that at the press of a button, they can just make money come out of thin air. And to me, they're taxing me without any representation at all. So taking the power away from them to do that, I think, is crucial, because working in a system where there's a known, I guess, supply of money, right? You know you can't be corrupted. And then society starts working better and better and more efficient, because all really money is, it's an organizational tool. So humans become more organized, more efficient, processes become more efficient as the organization gets better. And so if the core of that is not corrupted, then humanity over time will get better and better and better, and things will get cheaper and cheaper. So yeah, separate money from state. I will stick by that.
And do you think there's like a possibility of hyper Bitcoinization with if nation states start getting on and we see hash wars? Is it possible for Bitcoin to melt our faces still?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the ethos, the mission of Bitcoin Magazine, and that's why I'm so pumped to be part of the team. Everyone on the team's all in on hyper Bitcoinization. So what that means basically is we move from a standard of what we're doing now with fiat money onto a Bitcoin standard. And I just think a Bitcoin standard really makes the world that much better.
Absolutely. And you were tweeting about Bitcoin jobs and helping people get into the Bitcoin community. Can you just talk maybe a little bit about that and that initiative?
I guess, yeah. So I guess the bigger idea is leaving your traditional job to join a new industry. And so you could see the whole cryptocurrency industry is growing like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, too, I'm personally more interested in Bitcoin only companies, because I think the mission's a little more laser focused and you tend to work with people a little more like-minded like you. Whereas if I joined a company that was more into crypto, I'm sure every day my coworkers would be asking like, oh, what are you trading today? Rather, I hop on Slack on Bitcoin Magazine and we're talking about more deeper things, and it's just all centered around the idea of Bitcoin. So we're all focused on the same idea. So now in relation to getting a job, right? There's a couple of different job boards. The one I use is Bitcoiner Jobs. That's where Bitcoin Magazine posts a lot of their jobs, and we do internally too on our website. But yeah, the idea is to break out of the current industry you're in and come join this new exciting industry that people like-minded capabilities and work ethic all come together, and we're all on the same mission.
What do you think the biggest hurdle is for folks trying to leave their traditional world and integrating into this crazy world?
Yeah, I think I touched upon this when we were initially messaging each other on Twitter. I think what separates most people that actually get a job in the industry is this idea of proof of work, right? So Bitcoin operates on a proof of work mechanism. And what that means is like you have to expend energy to show you did something, right? So for me personally, how do I prove that I like Bitcoin? How do I prove I contributed to the community? And what I did was I started up a little Bitcoin education company. I have a website, bitcoinedu.com. Me and my co-founder, Travis, we were doing some Bitcoin classes. We're putting resources up on the website. We were on Clubhouse all the time, just trying to help people that are new to the industry, don't know what to do, point them in the right direction for resources. And so, yeah, I did that for less than a year, but I think that really shows that, hey, I was kind of committed to it. And then,
so what was the website?
bitcoinedu.com.
Okay.
It's still up and running, but we're just not running any more live classes. I got my full-time job now at Bitcoin Magazine. Although we did talk about restarting it, so we'll see.
Awesome. Now, you talked about content and pointing people in the right direction when it comes to content. Where do you point people, and do you have any maybe favorite books or podcasts in the Bitcoin space?
Yeah, so that's actually where I start. I think of more of the medium on how someone likes to learn. So whenever someone comes to me asking about how do I learn about Bitcoin, I say, okay, what do you do day to day to learn? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you read? Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other options too, but mainly I think people like to listen to podcasts and read short form articles. So usually I send people to, I really like Robert Breedlove's podcast. I also really like, I might get some shit for this, but I like Peter McCormick's podcast, Technical. And then in terms of articles, I love sending people to Bitcoin Magazine just because there's so much great content. And let's think, yeah, books. The Bitcoin Standard, obviously, that's like the go-to for anyone. I bought the Fiat Standard. That's the follow-up to that. I got to start it still. But yeah, I usually direct people to the Bitcoin Standard. I like Layered Money by Nick Baesha. What else? And I also like The Sovereign Individual because I think that sets the stage for what's happened and what's happening now.
I read the Bitcoin Standard. I'm yet to read the other three. I definitely had Layered Money on my list. I did read the Blocksize Wars. Have you read that one?
I have not.
Have you heard of it or seen it around?
Yeah, of course. Okay. I just haven't read into it.
That one is really interesting, and it really pushed me into the Bitcoin maxi direction, and just like seeing the whole entire block size war being broken down. It's just an excellent piece of Bitcoin history. You had these two different camps, and it just, to me, like the case for Bitcoin maximalism to me is like, after reading that book, is, you know, the small blockers just having a conservative approach when it comes to changing the core code. And really, it does make a lot of sense. And you just see so many forks of Bitcoin just going to zero, or just falling in comparison to Bitcoin and what it's worth. So that one's a really good one that I just read. But yeah, I've definitely been diving into a lot of Bitcoin books lately. So I'll add those to the list.
Yeah, I got a whole behind me right here. You can't really see it because it's a blurry background. I got a whole library started. So I'm just trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin books as possible and get through them.
Yeah, man. Actually, the same here. I got a little pile going on right behind me. I got a couple autographed copies too. My most prized is probably Bitcoin Billionaires. I have a signed copy from the Winklevoss twins. That's really cool. That's a good piece. That was a good piece of Bitcoin history too. Less about how it works and just more about some of the players within it and how things were happening in the early days.
Yeah, that's funny because I'm literally trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to make a whole collection of just autographed books.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool, and I think you know, history will be on our side, and people will appreciate it more as time goes on, right? Because I mean, you're early in the space still, so you can still kind of reach out to a lot of these people that are developing it and been around for a long time, which is, you know, super cool for the podcast too, being able to reach out to people, and Twitter is an awesome tool. But what did you think about the acquisition of Twitter by Elon Musk?
I love it. I think Twitter was going to shit, and I realized that too. I was using it day to day with all these like filters on it and like warning messages and all that. I was like, I don't want to be warned. Just give me information, like unfiltered. So I mean, Elon Musk is like one of my personal people I look up to. I started studying him way back in the day. Tesla was like the first stock I ever looked at to purchase. I was like, what is investing? What is stocks? And of course I went to Tesla. Yeah, so I think Elon's the GOAT, and I think he is morally correct, and will do really good things for freedom of speech. So super happy about that.
Yeah, hopefully he can get rid of some of these crypto scammers that are just nonstop commenting on every single post, right? Like they're almost ruining the entire experience.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be figured out eventually. Might as well do it now.
Yeah, I think they were proposing like something where you would stake a Satoshi, or I think maybe Elon Musk a Dogecoin or something like that.
Yeah.
So they have some interesting ideas I've seen floating around on the public Twitter space, but
yeah, that's that Michael Saylor idea, I think.
Oh, was that his?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it originated from him, but yeah, it's the idea of like you would stake a small amount of Bitcoin, a couple Satoshis, whatever it may be, just to prove you're a real person. And so that makes it economically not viable for scammers to keep running their scam operations because they're paying for every time they have to load up a new bot, and then they're just going to go bankrupt. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I particularly like the idea if you report a scammer, you get the Satoshis or whatever that they staked.
Oh, I haven't heard that, but I like that.
Yes,
You're gonna have bots spinning up to report them, and
yeah, true.
Good idea. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think the biggest thing to happen with Bitcoin in the past in this cycle?
That's a good question.
Or maybe something that you didn't anticipate.
It's a really good question. Yeah, I would say definitely the El Salvador announcement during last year's Bitcoin conference was definitely, in my opinion, the biggest thing to happen, because getting a nation state to embrace it, that completely changes everything in my mind, because then they're kind of creating the model right now in which other countries can go and run the same playbook. So if it works, great. And I want to see more and more countries doing that. So yeah, I think it's just the next level of it, and for adoption.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And what about the Lightning Network? I still haven't used Lightning Network. I don't think Strike is available in Canada at this point. I tried using another one. It looked a little choppy. I wasn't sold on it. What are your thoughts about it? Where are we at with Lightning?
So you haven't used it yet?
I haven't used it. No.
All right. So the first time I used it, and I hear this happens a lot to people, you're like, that was like oddly fast, like quicker than a Venmo payment, anything. You're just like, whoa. Like it feels like before I even hit send, it was like already there. But do you have Cash App by any chance?
No, I'm not sure if is that available in Canada. Can I use?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think I can use it. I don't think I can use it the same way that folks in the States can use it. So
Okay.
I don't have it.
Yeah. So for, I guess, people that are new to Lightning, I usually tell them to use Cash App because they make it so easy to trade Bitcoin between either on chain or through Lightning, or you can use another wallet. Like I use Blue Wallet. And so, yeah, I loaded up from my Strike account, sent it to Blue Wallet, and then from there, yeah, it's just basically an instant payment. You just create a QR code, scan it, boom, done. Yeah, it's kind of odd how fast it is.
Right.
And I think it's still newer, so I've run into some hiccups here and there, but I think as it matures, I think it's going to be a big player in how the cryptocurrency space plays out.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be going in that direction. So that's why I've been more open. Like I've downloaded a couple apps. I just haven't actually made a transaction at this point.
Oh, dude, after this, let's do one.
Yeah, all right.
I'll make you lose your Lightning virginity.
Okay, let's do it, man. I got what's the name of the app here? Wallet of Satoshi, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that one does it. Like I said, I know Moon is good. Blue Wallet is what I use. You can do Cash App. There's a couple other ones that are good too.
Cool. And when you're not using Lightning Network for transactions, where do you direct folks, new people coming into the industry, about how they store their Bitcoin? Are you in favor of custodial storage when it comes to people that maybe not be that tech savvy, or do you still encourage, learn private keys? This is essential.
I've actually put a lot of thought into this because through my Bitcoin education company, and I've learned a lot. So typically the best way to do it nowadays is to get someone to send a transaction through, I like Cash App because it's just the user interface is so easy and it's pretty seamless. And I tell people, don't really worry about wallets until you have a little more of a balance of Bitcoin in there. So maybe once you get past, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, something you don't want to lose, then you start considering cold storage. And then from there, I usually suggest a couple of different options, but I think what I really like is, and I used to use it, is Trezor. I think the user interface is really good. And I think that setting it up is still a challenge. and there's still a lot of hiccups people go through because it's still such a new technology. You have to basically hold someone's hand and walk them through it. So that's why I like to get people at least started with Bitcoin, just purchase a little amount, send transactions back and forth, and don't worry about cold storage until you start getting it and you start accumulating it as an investment.
Sounds like good advice. Eric, when you're not running marathons and you're not nerding out in the Bitcoin world, what else do you like to do?
Yeah, I have a 6-month-old Bernedoodle puppy that has been keeping me very busy recently. As you may know, just so the audience knows, we were supposed to record this last week, but my puppy decided to eat a piece of my girlfriend's leggings, so I had to bring him to the ER to get that situated. So yeah, I like hanging out with him, hanging out with my girlfriend. We like going on hikes. Just like doing outdoorsy stuff, exercise, playing sports whenever I can.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on the show today. I'm going to open it up for you. If there's anything that crucial you think we missed or that my listeners or myself should know, feel free. If not, maybe you can just let us know where we can follow you and learn more.
Yeah, I guess my Twitter is at epodrules. That's EPODRULZ. I think more recently, I've had people in my DMs asking me how to get a job in Bitcoin. So if that's what you're interested in, I could definitely help you out with that. I know Bitcoin Magazine hiring like crazy right now, and I know some other companies that are hiring, maybe hook you up if you got some skills. So yeah, looking for any advice on that front, feel free to come to my Twitter, get in my DMs. I'll be sure to answer you. And if you're going to make investments into Bitcoin, think about it in terms of 5, 10, 15 years from now. Don't think about it as a get rich quick scheme, because I have personal friends that think of it that way. And then they text me and they say, yo, what the hell's going on? And it's going down. I'm like, hey, you just got to sit and wait. So that's my ultimate advice.
Definitely, man. It definitely sounds like that. Like we were talking earlier, that small blocker, money for the world mentality, which is
for sure
grows on me more and more every single day. So again, I appreciate you, Eric, and I'll be in touch about when the podcast will be released, and I'll definitely hit you up on Twitter.
Yeah, and we're gonna send a Lightning transaction together too.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Take my Lightning virginity. It's all yours.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll see you on Twitter, I guess.
All right, man. See ya.
Cheers.
Thank you all for listening to the Halving Report podcast. Please like and subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, check out our show notes below for more about our guests and some sweet crypto coupons, and we'll see you back next time.